GOLD participants from around the world. I'm Fiona Lang-Sharp, IBCLC and Public Relations Manager for GOLD Learning. I'm chatting today with Janice Banther. Hi, Janice. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. And Janice and I are chatting because her presentation is coming up at our GOLD Perinatal Online Conference, and it is titled Birth Behind Bars, Incarcerated and Pregnant Families. So welcome, Janice. How are you?
I am so glad to be here. Ever since I've learned about Gold Perinatal, I've been looking forward to this.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. Well, of course, we were talking offline a little bit, and I'm very excited about this topic. I've had a little bit of experience. So Janice has just been giving me some tips and some support offline here about this topic. But before we get into more about this behind birth behind bars, Janice, why don't you introduce yourself to our listening audience today and tell them why you really wanted to speak on this subject matter?
These women really do hold a near and dear place in my heart that I never knew even existed before 16 years ago. And once I realized they existed, and then once I came in and saw them just like people do who work with babies as a doula, as a childbirth educator or lactation, you fall in love with your client. And it doesn't matter what they've done or if I'm upset with them, when I see them, I fall in love with them. And I want the rest of the people to know there are pregnant women in jails and they need someone to love them
Mhm.
and just to listen to them. And that's why I want to be here.
That's so wonderful, Janice. And you know that this warms my heart every time I hear you talk about it. I'm excited that you're able to introduce this topic to those that haven't seen or experienced this yet. And to our wider audience, perhaps, they'll be sharing with us what their experiences are too, because that's very exciting as well. Janice, you forgot to introduce yourself, so maybe you can go back and just tell us, how long you've been practicing and a little bit about your personal journey in this field.
Okay, my name is Janice Banther. I've been a doula for 33 years, and I always jokingly say I started at the age of 14, but no, that's not true. But I did start really as an accident. My first person I was with was an international student at a college. She knew nothing about birth at all. She was from Suriname, and that's kind of how I got started down the road that I traveled, and you'll learn more about that in the presentation of the people I've always worked with. I am a childbirth educator. I'm a doula. I was a doula before there was a word doula. I have enjoyed teaching in all different types of areas, in all different types of homes, and in all different types of classrooms. Um, I find that when you're working with a woman, if you truly have your objective straight in your head on what you want to do in your life and who you want to touch, then you're going to be able to do that. And there might be times that those things might come flooding up in your head thinking, well, you can't do this or you shouldn't do this or they deserve that. You just take one look at that girl and your mind will change. And that's what's happened to me in the last 33 years. And when I hear people leaving the birth field or doing things, I thought, how can you leave the birth field? I mean, I can't imagine. I think I'll be doing this until I'm too old to say push. So I just figure I'll just keep on doing this.
Well, that's wonderful. We need people like you, Janice. So yes, I'm glad that you're here to stay, and because you provide the rest of us such a platform for understanding and knowledge, and you really are a mentor to so many. So thank you for thanks for being here. We really
Well,
appreciate it
thank
in this
you.
industry. Yeah.
Thank you
Okay,
so much.
yeah, let's move on to your actual topic. Obviously this is we know already. We can tell in your voice, Janice, that this topic is near and dear to your heart. But I want you just to tell us a little bit, have there been any changes in this area? I know it's still it feels like to me it's in its infancy. There isn't a lot of data on birth behind bars or women who are incarcerated and pregnant. Perhaps you can just address just briefly here about some of the changes that you've seen in your time so far.
One of the big changes is the shackling, and I know if you Google pregnant women in jail, you're going to come across probably 5 pages from different organizations who try to be anti-shackling. And that's probably the biggest change. In the United States, there's now 23 states who do not shackle anymore. Now,
Oh,
having
good.
said that, I live in Florida in the United
Mhm.
States, and long before it was against the law, the jails that we worked in stopped shackling the pregnant women, and
Oh,
we really believe it was just because of our presence. We
oh, good.
we didn't say get them off of her. You shouldn't have these on her. It was just our presence in being there and helping her that
Mm,
it became against the rules to shackle a pregnant woman
mm.
long before it was law. So I think there's a big change in that, and there still needs to be the change in that. Uh, but I think you have to be, well, can we stop? This is the reason why I believe that we just need more doulas and more childbirth educators and more lactation help in the prisons and the jails, because just our presence and being there will help the lives of the girls that are pregnant in there be so much better. When they are loved and they have someone that's listening to them, they are obviously easier to take care of, they're happier as inmates, and they feel as if they're being cared for. And because if we're there, then that makes a huge difference to the deputies and in the lives of the people who transfer inmates back and forth or in medical. So I see the huge difference in that. If you could just have people in there who are about childbirth and just listening to the girl, because no one listens in jail,
Mhm.
and you're not screaming at her because it's always loud.
Mm.
And I got my biggest aha moment on that when I was talking about fetal kick count to an inmate, and I said, well, what you'll want to do is lay down in your bunk when it's quiet. And someone said, well, it's never quiet. Oh, okay. Well, you just want to lay down and then turn the lights off. We can't turn the lights off. Oh, okay. And in my middle class thinking world, that you're just going to lay down and do this, I
Yeah,
realize that's not the world. It's all the lights are always on. Someone's always screaming 24/7. So I think we have to learn. Another thing that's very important. That's why I wrote the manual that the inmates get. And if you can, on one of the slides, you'll see manuals on the tables where the girls are having a class. And I wrote that manual. It's on a fourth grade level, and it really helped out a lot in helping them to be able to understand about birth in jail and
that's
not
wonderful.
how it would be on the outside.
Mhm. Yeah, I hear in your voice. I know there's so many things that you have done and you've achieved. Like you said, even before the law. I totally believe your compassion, your even your existence within the jail, even though you weren't necessarily advocating for certain things or certain rights, but your compassion on all sides with the deputies, with the inmates, have changed lives incredibly. And because that's what's needed in a lot of our jails is compassion, listening skills, active listening, and all those things. And I know that that's part of what you do too, Janice, and that's just incredible. So thank you. Thanks for being there for those women who, some of them succeed, some of them don't, but nonetheless, in that moment, and you can get to be there for just sometimes a brief amount of time. It's wonderful that you have that compassion to be there.
If we can change that one life. And the other thing also is to listen to the deputies and to listen to the people in medical, because no one listens to them either.
Yeah.
And to listen to their trials and their problems of having to deal with the jail, because every jail is underfunded, overcrowded, and working too many hours. They
Mm,
all are. And if once empathize with them on that, then they approach you 100% better as a volunteer, quote unquote volunteer, coming in and working, even though you might be getting paid by grants or you may be a full volunteer organ thing. It's it's just that you're not causing a big thing. You're trying to come in there and making their life more miserable. You're trying to make their life easier.
excellent. Well, thank you so much, Janice, for sitting down with us here today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. I know that our listening audience, I strongly encourage you come to our Gold Perinatal Conference to listen to Janice Banther. I mean, incredible speaker and advocate for women who are incarcerated and in jail. You will learn lots from her, I know. Thank you again, Janice Banther, for being with us here today.
Thank you so much, Fiona. I really enjoyed being here.
And thanks to our listening audience, we look forward to having you again. Bye bye for now.